Have you ever wondered what it feels like to be rejected by the people who should love you unconditionally? Have you thought about how a single decision can change the course of an entire life? The story I'm about to tell you will make you reflect on the power of destiny and the unbreakable strength of maternal love, even when it doesn't come from where we expect it. In the misty mountains of Yunnan Province, China, where tea fields stretch like green carpets to the horizon, Li Hua was born in the winter of 1995. Her arrival into the world should have been cause for celebration, but instead, it brought with it a storm of family secrets that would change her destiny forever. The midwife's eyes filled with confusion when she saw the newborn. Li Hua had features that didn't completely match those of her Chinese parents. Her skin was slightly lighter, her eyes had a peculiar shape, and there was something in her face that whispered untold stories. The grandmother, a stern 70-year-old woman called Nai Nai, took one look at the baby and her expression hardened like stone. "This child is not of our pure blood," she declared with a cutting voice. "She brings dishonor to our family." Have you ever lived through the pain of family rejection? Do you know someone who has been judged for something beyond their control? Li Hua's mother, Chen Wei, a young woman of barely 22, hugged her baby with tears streaming down her cheeks. She knew the truth she had hidden for months. Li Hua's father wasn't her Chinese husband, but a foreign student with whom she'd had a secret relationship. But her love for the child was real and deep, regardless of the circumstances of her conception. For the first 3 years, Chen Wei fought against constant family pressure. Her mother-in-law treated her with contempt, constantly whispering that the child was different and would bring bad luck to the house. Her husband, initially understanding, began to distance himself under social and family pressure. Li Hua grew up feeling that tension in the air, like a perpetual thunderstorm over her little head. Although she was too young to understand the words, she could feel the disapproving glances, the whispers when she entered a room, the way some relatives avoided touching her or playing with her. The moment that changed everything came on a cold spring morning in 1998. Li Hua was 3 years old when she heard her grandmother screaming in the kitchen. "Either that child leaves this house or I do. I can't live with this shame any longer." That night, Chen Wei sat on the edge of her daughter's bed, stroking her silky black hair. "My little flower," she whispered with a broken voice. "Mama loves you more than her own life, but sometimes love means making sacrifices that hurt more than death." Can you imagine a mother's pain when she must choose between her daughter and her family? What would you have done in her place? The next day, Chen Wei packed Li Hua's few belongings in a small pink backpack. Her favorite teddy bear, a hand-knitted blanket, and a photograph where they both smiled next to a sunflower field. With a broken heart, she took her daughter to the Kunming Children's Orphanage. "Please take good care of my treasure," she begged through tears to the director, Mrs. Wang. "She's special, very special. Someday, someone will see how extraordinary she is." Li Hua didn't understand why her mama was crying so much, why she was leaving her in a place full of strangers. She clung to Chen Wei's legs screaming, "Mama! Mama!" until her voice became hoarse. The image of her mother walking away down the long, cold hallway was etched in her memory like a scar that would never completely heal. The years at the orphanage were a mixture of pain and small joys. Li Hua was a bright and loving child, but there was always a deep sadness in her eyes that the caregivers noticed. She constantly wondered why her mama had left her, what she had done wrong, if she would ever come back for her. At 7 years old, Li Hua had developed unusual maturity for her age. She helped care for the younger children, shared her toys without being asked, and had a special way of comforting others when they were sad. It was as if she had transformed her own pain into compassion for others. It was at that moment when Rebecca Thompson arrived, a 35-year-old American social worker who had come to China as part of an international adoption program. Rebecca had wavy brown hair, kind green eyes, and a smile that lit up any room. She had lost her own child in an accident years earlier, and felt her heart had room to love a child who needed a family. The first meeting between Rebecca and Li Hua was magical in an inexplicable way. The girl was sitting alone in the courtyard, building sand castles while singing a little song in Chinese. When she saw Rebecca approaching, She didn't run or hide like other children did with foreigners. Instead, she offered her a small yellow flower she had found among the stones. "For you," Li Hua said in her childish Chinese. And although Rebecca didn't understand the words, she understood the gesture perfectly. Rebecca knelt down to the girl's height and accepted the flower with a smile that reached her eyes. In that moment, both felt a connection that transcended languages and cultures. It was as if their souls had been searching for each other across the ocean and time. Do you believe in instant connections between people? Have you ever felt that you met someone at exactly the moment you were supposed to meet them? The adoption process took months of paperwork, interviews, and evaluations. During that time, Rebecca visited Li Hua every week. She taught her English words, read her stories with colorful pictures, and slowly began to heal the invisible wounds in the child's heart. Li Hua flourished under Rebecca's attention and unconditional love. For the first time in years, her laughter became genuine and frequent again. She began to dream of a different life, one where she wouldn't be judged by her appearance or origin, where she would be loved simply for being who she was. In December 2003, after a year of waiting, Li Hua was finally able to leave with Rebecca for the United States. The flight from Kunming to Denver was the biggest adventure of her 8-year-old life. Rebecca held her hand throughout the entire journey, especially during takeoff when Li Hua got scared by the engine noise. "You don't have to be afraid anymore," Rebecca whispered in her ear. "Now you have a family that will love you forever." Life in Colorado was a dream come true for Li Hua, who was now called Lily Thompson. Rebecca enrolled her in an excellent school, taught her to ride a bike, to swim, and encouraged her to pursue all her passions. Lily excelled in math and science, but her true passion was writing. She wrote stories about brave girls who found their homes after great adventures. But as she grew up, questions about her past became more intense. Why had she been abandoned? Did her birth mother ever think about her? Did she have siblings in China? Rebecca was always honest about what she knew, but there were so many gaps in the story that Lily felt like she was a puzzle missing important pieces. At 17, Lily was a beautiful and confident young woman, but she still carried the weight of unanswered questions. She was captain of her high school debate team, had excellent grades, and had been accepted to several prestigious universities. Externally, her life was perfect. Internally, there was a void that only answers about her origin could fill. Have you ever felt that there are parts of your story you need to know to fully understand who you are? The decision to search for her biological family came on her 18th birthday. Rebecca, now a 53-year-old woman who had been the best mother Lily could have asked for, sat with her in the kitchen where they had shared thousands of important conversations. "Lily, my love," Rebecca said with that maternal wisdom that only comes from years of unconditional love, "I know you need to find answers. And I want you to know that no matter what you discover, you will always be my daughter, and I will always be your mom." With Rebecca's support, Lily began her search. She hired a private investigator specializing in family reunifications in China, learned Mandarin fluently, and used every available internet resource to trace clues about her past. The process was emotionally exhausting. Every false lead, every dead end, every "sorry, we can't help you" devastated her. But Lily had inherited something powerful from both cultures: Chinese perseverance and American determination. After 2 years of intensive searching, the call that would change everything finally came. The investigator had found orphanage records that matched her story, and more importantly, had located Chen Wei, her biological mother. Chen Wei, now 47 years old, worked as a teacher in a small rural school. She had divorced years earlier and lived alone, carrying the weight of the decision she had made 20 years before. Every day she thought about her little flower, and wondered if she was alive, if she was happy, if she could ever forgive her. The first phone conversation between mother and daughter was a torrent of tears, apologies, and words of love that had waited decades to be spoken. Chen Wei explained the circumstances that had forced her to make that impossible decision, her daily regret, and how she had dreamed of this moment for years. "My little flower," Chen Wei sobbed through the phone. "Not a single day passed without me thinking of you. I'm so sorry, forgive me, please forgive me." Lily, now a 20-year-old young woman, felt that a wound she had carried her entire life was finally beginning to heal. There was no anger in her heart, only understanding and compassion for a young mother who had done what she believed was best under impossible circumstances. The face-to-face reunion took place at the same orphanage where they had been separated 17 years earlier. When Chen Wei saw Lily walking down that familiar hallway, she collapsed to her knees, overwhelmed by emotion. Her little flower had become a beautiful, educated, and obviously loved woman. They hugged for an eternity, filling the void of lost years with tears of joy and forgiveness. Rebecca, who had accompanied Lily on this journey, watched from a distance with tears in her eyes, knowing she had raised an extraordinary young woman capable of unlimited forgiveness and love. Today, Lily maintains a beautiful relationship with both mothers. Chen Wei visits the United States every year, and Lily spends summers in China, connecting with her cultural roots. She has established a foundation that helps reunite families separated by difficult circumstances, turning her pain into purpose. What difficult situation in your life has taught you the most about forgiveness and compassion? Share your experience in the comments. Lily's story teaches us that true love knows no geographical or cultural boundaries. Sometimes families are formed in unexpected ways, and sometimes initial rejection can lead us exactly where we need to be. Her life is proof that we can honor our past while building our future, and that forgiveness has the power to transform the deepest pain into love and purpose.